So you're welcome to this course unit. This course unit is communication skills. So we're going to study about communication skills. This is where we are learning to communicate. So we are intending that the teacher develops skills of communication. Even in any other field, communication skills is cross-cutting and is a necessary. Actually, communication is a need in the world. So my name is Ssebuyungo Wilber, Kivekayunga. Why do we study communication skills? Why do we study communication skills then? We intend that you learn communication skills to be able to relate with the people through speaking. Through writing. You will also see other forms of communication, like through even other avenues of communication, like sign language, gestures. So businesses are increasingly demanding that people learn to communicate well, because communication can bring about what we call togetherness and oneness. So without communication which is proper, people get scattered. Okay, when we do not communicate properly, we scatter people. We break the bonds. You've had situations where people said, here there is a lot of rumors, too much rumors, and everyone does not want to speak to the other because the communication strands, the connections have been broken by what we call miscommunication. So communication can increase customers or even reduce them, depending on how it has been handled. Communication can increase suppliers or even reduce them, depending also on how it has been handled. Indeed, communication can also build losses, but also can profit, depending on how it is handled. Therefore, businesses need to be careful with how the people in them communicate to one another, whether internally or externally. External communication means a person within an organization communicates to another who does not belong to that organization. Internal communication means a person within the organization is speaking to a colleague within that organization. So, we intend that you learn communication, whether it is within the use of telecom media, such as on phone. You see, some people are very polite when you're speaking to them in person, but when it comes to phone, there are others. Others, when you're speaking to them in person, they are well, but on phone, yes. So the communication behavior has got to be streamlined within us so that regardless of whether we are on phone or in physical, it is communications, these communication standards are maintained. Whether on television or on radio, the communication standards have got to be maintained. So teachers, for example, a teacher who is invited on a radio station to present, is there a radio station in Chegegwa? There is one in Mubende. Tropical FM? Yes. So, whether you're invited on Tropical FM or Radio 1, Capital FM, CBS FM, and you have something to speak, you should use the very communication skills not to quake when it comes to speaking on the radio. Even on the television, the teacher should be able to teach even on television, on radio, on phone calls, or on using computers in conferences, okay? When it comes to conferences and the audience is that large, you find a teacher may not struggle to be effective in conferences. Yet in the classroom, the teacher is doing it well. Seminars and other conventions, the president has come, and now the people have gathered from all villages. Now it is the turn is teacher. What's your name? Teacher Harriet is going to come and give a speech. Oh my God, the president has come. Me, teacher Harriet, I'm the one going to give the speech. Where should I start from? So, whether they are webinars, you've heard of webinars? Now, you have seminars, you can also have seminars online. Okay? So, people attend, those who are called attendees, they attend online. And it is a seminar. There are panelists who are even telecasted with cameras facing them, and they are someone who is attending to the seminar is able to see. You've seen some of them. You're able to see the panelists deliberating concepts. So those webinars are also there, and actually we are running the world of digitization, where you can even start a seminar, an SST seminar online, and have teachers attending it wherever they are. And those who have paid are the ones who are able to log in, to sign in and enter. So you can expand your reach through communication skills. You can have online meetings and all those. When it comes to other avenues where communication is needed, you can be able to write your CV without looking for who to help you to write the CV with the communication skills. Be able to write reports. So those are also expected of you, to be able to write reports, write letters, contribute to stories in newspapers. You've seen some teachers can write a story, mwalimu, and they have written something there. You should be also able to write books, because writing books is also one way of communicating. But again, on the other side, it's another way of teaching or educating. Should also be able to write minutes in this course. So, what is actually to communicate? What is actually to communicate? Communication is a process of creating messages, sending messages, from one person to another with a purpose of creating understanding between people. And when this understanding is created, you've created the message, you've sent the message from one you to another. The purpose is you want to make people understand and get to what we call oneness. I'm going to share with you this lecture as it is, so that you can follow through it at your own time. So you here we want to cause what we call understanding, so that there is oneness and togetherness between people. You yourselves had a situation where in the Babylonian times, in the Babylon, the people were building a tower of Babylon. You heard it. And that they were speaking one language. They would hear each other properly. And then that they were going to build up to it when they would surprise God. Just to look and what are these people coming for now? We are here with you. And that God saw that it was very possible for them to reach heaven. And what he only caused was to to differentiate their languages. That you tell your colleague, bring for me the brick, comes with a wheelbarrow. Comes with a wheelbarrow, and that disconnection. So where there is a communication, we want to bring back that environment where there is oneness. You actually want the person to bring a brick and actually comes with that brick, other than coming with a what? With something else, with a shoe. We happen to have been driving along the way, and then when we stopped to get something to eat, to start the vehicle would not start. And then we realized that the battery, after we left the lights, the headlamps on, the battery had lost. It had lost its charge. So we looked around to see whether we can get someone to help us to jump start. It's called jump starting. To have, so you use jumpers to jump start those wires. There's a younger man who came and said, "What are you looking for? All along I've been seeing you here." We said we are looking for jumpers. He told us that I have only one. Then we told him, "Bring it. We shall start with that." He went and spent 15 minutes. We thought he would not return. I think the distance was long. The gentleman came with a jacket. This with a jacket. And when we realized there was a mismatch in communication, we received the jumper and put it in the car and told him, "Give us some time. We are going to give it back to you." And then we started looking for a jumper, the right jumper, until we got and jump started the car and gave back the younger man and gave thanks to him, because he had poured all his heart, had walked all that distance, trying to tell him that what you have brought is not the jumper we meant. It was wearing down his heart. So there in that environment, there was no oneness. We were not um, um, on the same page, what you always call the same page. So the main aim of communication, that's this, you can have all aims, but the main aim of communication, or what you can call the main purpose of communication, is to be with one mind or in one mind. To have the main purpose of communication is to be in one mind, in one action. Is to be in one mind, in one action, so that we are in the same community. You see, those who have studied communication well, the word communication comes from the word commune, okay, which means what? Togetherness. Togetherness. You people have already taken the Holy Communion. Another word, communion, which means what? Sharing on one spirit, one body. For you, you call it the body of Christ. Yes, you call it the body of Christ. This is actually, these are the strands that make communication. When now it comes to messages, still that oneness should be maintained. When it comes to moving into people who are in the environment of oneness, when they are in a certain place and they have that oneness, we say that is a what? A community. Yes. That's a community. That's why it is hard to find a community in Kampala. I think it is a society, not necessarily a community. A person loses a daughter or a son in the neighborhood. The neighbor is not bothered, just walks out, even may not even know. Only to ask, where is that boy who used to move here? That one died. Hey. But now in some places which we call, they are no longer societies but are communities. When one person dies, almost everyone comes to know and everybody is concerned. Actually, I've seen some places where people hide their horse in some bags to smuggle them into the garden, because they will be seen to not to be in community with others, because you have heard the message, then you must take action not to go to the garden according to the values of that community. So if communication does not build oneness, that is miscommunication. That is miscommunication. So communication again is also sharing of ideas, which ideas can be in the form of words and in action. You see, you've seen some people who loading bricks, when the how do you call that? Where the bricks are assembled, you call it a kernel. Now in Uganda, tanuru, because it has some kernel sound. So that kernel, and the car is a distance away. They first agree, I'm going to send you two bricks, pick them, give them to the one next to you. Now, when it happens that the person now, again, instead of the agreed two bricks, brings three, that's where the brick now hits the friend, the colleague. You didn't tell me that you are going to bring three. You would have told me earlier. So there must be that oneness to agree upon something, and then the actions can be taken. So communication will always be expressing our thoughts, our attitudes, even our attitude. If you are annoyed, let us know that you are annoyed. Hmm? Other than being annoyed, but again there you are, as if you are smiling. In the English language, it is called grinning, not smiling. Hmm? Grin, okusinika. It is not smiling. We can also communicate situations, communicate time, places, and others. So, in conclusion, the ultimate purpose of communication is to bring togetherness and oneness among people. Togetherness and oneness among the people. Just know that if you cross the term without telling parents when they should return their children, now when do you expect them to return them? They will keep on asking, when should we bring the children? When are they coming back to school? Until you give them a circular. And also, even the Ministry of Education gives communication, a message to schools that this is how the term is going to start and this is when it should close. That's where you see schools are closing almost at the same time. Yes. Components of communication. Components. What we call communication. If it is communication, then what should be those key elements that should be making up that communication? One is the message. That means that when we are talking about a message, there must be a message creator. A message creator, the originator of the message, whom we call the author. Whom we call the author. Okay. When someone originates a message, is called an author because this person has started it. And that's why we say this person will have what? Authority. Has authority. The word author comes from the word authority. That's why when someone writes, there's a book I wrote in computer literacy. It was an IT book, and I shared it with my student. I had made a mistake on one of the pages, but because of authority, the student did not know that was a what? A mistake. So, and the student didn't know that I was the author of the book. So when I came to teach, what I was teaching was not in line with it, with what was in the book. The student stood up and said, "Excuse me, but here they are saying," and told me what they were saying. Now I started thinking what I should tell the student. I told the student that was a mistake. But teacher, no, they cannot make this a mistake. I was arguing with my own authority. You've seen that when something is written down there and you're teaching and the student has read it somewhere in the book, he believes in what has been read in the book much more than what you are speaking. So I told the student, have you seen the author of this book? Not yet. Open and read the author. She read my name. Then I told, forgive me, that is a mistake. I'm going to correct that in my next version of the book. That's when the student now started to adjust. Otherwise, I wasn't going to win the student. Because of authority. So, that's why teachers who write easily develop much more than those who do not write. They are invited to come and explain matters which you all know. Not so. Even explain matters that you know. But because they have written and they have authority. Actually, if the Bible had not been written, but maintained on the mind of okay, the Old Testament was maintained on the mind of Moses, would not be having meaningful information today. Everyone would be having his own Bible. This is what was given to Moses. Everyone would be an author. So the first element is the message. There must be the creator of the message. This creating of the message is called encoding. When you now start to say, what should I put in here or what should I speak, you'll be now in the process of encoding. So in encoding, you draft the message, you edit the message, test the message. When you test the message, and see, that's why for example, if it is written, you tell somebody, please read for me and see. I'm inviting people. If they read this, will they come? Then he will tell you, there is no time. At what time are they going to come? Oh God, I left out the time element. then you include it. That is, yes, you edit, and in editing, we edit messages by making sure that you edit language meaning. The words actually bring out the proper meaning that I intend the reader to perceive. Okay? When you're moving in towns, you'll see underground there some square covers along the way. So there is a child who asks the father, "Daddy, what are these things which are these things down there?" Then the daddy looked at the child and said, "This is where the water gushes out when fires come to extinguish it." There, now the meaning is lost. Now to this little child, possibly down there is water. When they remove the cover, they will get water. When there is fire burning the houses, even the word building may not be used, which is burning the houses, they get the water from there and stop the fire. Also, now there you will have organized the meaning, and then now you also edit. In here we are talking about editing. Edit the flow of the message. When, for example, you're writing letters to people, you tell them the meeting, either the meeting is at 9 a.m. on Sunday, then you put the date, then you state the place, or you start with the place, the date, and then the time. What do you start with? Sorry? The place. There you will be shaping up the flow of the message. The flow of the message. If you were directing someone from South Africa to come to Chegegwa, you tell the person that he's supposed to move to Uganda. Okay? Moving to Uganda is easy. Not to tell the person, move to Chegegwa. The flow. The message is the message really meaningful? But the meaning is there, but it is being interrupted by the what? By the flow. The person will ask you questions. What is the that? For you can pronounce it well. But with a Japanese or someone else, reading even Chegegwa is hard. But Uganda is common. Even when he comes to Uganda and gives somebody a name, that one he can't read, the person will say, "I know this place. Go here." So it becomes easy because you've created the flow to be clear and streamlined. Now, then when you see that the message is meaningful and it is flowing, then you can now test it. After testing it, you come up with the final what? The final message. The final message is now what you take to the next step, which we say select the sender. That is the sender now. So that's another component, which is the sender. Choose a person to carry the message. Choose a person to carry the message, or an organization. These days, senders are also media. Are also media platforms where you say, instead of giving the message to somebody to take, I'm going to send it electronically by email. But here we shall separate what we call the sender and then the media. So that if there is a person or an organization, there are some messages that are sent by DHL. Those are organizations. Yet you can, if you give your message to a border person and you want it to be delivered on time, happen to have been teaching a student who rides a border. You set an appointment at 9 a.m. He comes on the border, close to reaching the university, a passenger willing to pay a fare of 8,000 stops him. Before you know it, now that lesson I had one student. Before you know it, he is again in another place. Then by 10, now he's arriving. Sorry, I got some challenges and here I am. That now if that was a messenger delivering a message you want to be conveyed within 30 minutes, it will be lost. Then the other one is the media. Another component is the media. So here the sender has got to select the right media through which the message has got to be conveyed. That media has got to actually have the kind of audience that you want to access. If you went to my village and you're calling a meeting and then you're telling them you're going to be on Zoom and it is a village meeting over security issues, you will have to. But if you told them the meeting is going to be at the chairperson's place, come walking or driving or riding a bicycle, there will become very many. Because the media is not an inconvenience, the barriers are not many for them. Then spare the time. The time is also a component in the communication process, though some scholars leave it out. Convey the message in the most appropriate time. And others call it season. Okay. The other component is that of the recipient. So when conveying a message, on the side of the recipient, you should be able to know that the message has been received. Either, if they are formal documents, the person signs that have received. Otherwise, you deliver the message to the recipient and the recipient will say, no, I never received it. That's why even on your WhatsApp, as someone sends the message, is able to tell you have not read it. It has been delivered. You are also on net, but you have not yet opened it. You've opened it, and therefore it is delivered. Then the person there waits to see the reaction you take. That's why there is another element called what? Feedback. You've blue ticked me, but you're saying nothing. However, by the time the message is delivered, we say, yes, we are almost reaching where communication is ending. But there must be interpretation. After the recipient, there must be interpretation. There is another component called interpretation. Interpretation is what we call decoding. You encoded. You encoded the message. The person has got now to get to the meaning, this meaning, and translate the meaning into what you actually intend him or her to understand and take action. If the recipient does not decode well the message, then the recipient will misperceive it or even not understand it at all. In your houses, you have decoders. So a message which is coded at maybe a television station is sent as codes. This is in form of codes, zeros and ones, to your television. Then the decoder converts the codes into the message you want. If they are pictures, they are pictures. If they are videos, they become videos or text or sound. That is decoding, so that you get actually the meaning of the message. After interpretation, or what we are calling decoding, then there is also feedback. There we have feedback. So here the recipient expresses reaction to the message. What happens when you speak to the gentleman and it just keeps there looking? It is not saying exactly, yes, oh, oh, yeah, okay. So they stole your land. That's feedback. Oh, sorry, they stole your land. Can you keep on doing what? Adding in. How large was the land? How large? Oh, okay. Then you go ahead. There you know I'm receiving some feedback, so my communication is becoming effective. But when you it's like sending the message, the person has blue ticked, and there is no response. So feedback is very key. There should be reaction that informs the sender that the message has been received and therefore an action is going to be taken. Okay. I say, please you come, and just keep quiet, but eventually you come. You've taken action, but that's one way of also feedback. But you've not yet communicated, you've reacted, not yet, but tell me, let me come in 2 minutes. Then you say, oh, it's going to come in 2 minutes. But for that case, when you come, I may even have changed my thought and selected another person to come. I thought you are not going to come because you're reacting without giving actually feedback. There are principles of communication that you need to master. What we call a principle is a key rule or a guideline that, if followed, can result into maximum impact. So a principle is a rule or a guideline that, when followed, can result into maximum impact. You've seen people who roof houses using iron sheets. The iron sheet they put on top of the other has got to be pouring water on its top. Okay, the iron sheet that you add the one below. If you add another one on top of it, it has got to be touching its top other than entering into its bottom. So that water can flow over. Otherwise, it is also misroofing if you do it in the vice versa. Then rain will come, and yes, you will not have sunshine affecting you, but when it rains, water will be just pouring inside the house. The principle, it means that the principle has been violated. The outcomes are not that good. So one of the principles is that any communicator should be quick to listen. The word is quick to listen. And slower to speak. That's principle one. So when someone starts speaking, open to listen. Others, you call it active listening. That's not passive listening. Passive listening, you keep silent to let the person finish to speak, so that you wait for your turn to speak back. When will he finish? Okay, you can end there. Now, what I was saying, so active listening is you give all your mind, all your heart onto the message to get its meaning without bias. Without bias. I already know what you're telling me. I even know what you're going to add. So that's biased. So be quick to listen and slow to speak, meaning you give people space to be able to speak to you. So it shouldn't be the other side, the vice versa, where you are just quick to speak and slow to listen. It shouldn't be. And we find that there are many people who are very quick to speak and slow to listen. They want to be the ones to speak. All others don't know. Otherwise, if that situation happens, that person becomes very easy to get annoyed. who is very quick to speak and slow to listen. It becomes very easy. It is easy for that person to be annoyed and become angry, and even make a lot of much more mistakes, because mistakes are filtered between listening and your speaking. So the other principle is any communicator should be slow to speak and slow to become angry or take action. Any communicator should be slow to speak, slow to become angry, or take action. Or take action, or take action without a scan. I don't know whether this was yesterday. Or a scan. So when, for example, you put it the other way around, that the speaker, the communicator instead is very quick to speak, that communicator becomes quick to become angry, and then the actions taken in that environment becomes erroneous. It's like a staff has annoyed you and you are an administrator, and that minute is when you want to write the disappointment letter. You can even quote words. That's why you have been foolish all this long. Because the mind is not yet, you're forcing the mind to act outside the principles of communication. But if you say, let me write the letter after 3 days, or after in the evening, you will now either even choose to withdraw the letter and call the person to harmonize the matter, or to create another hearing. Let us listen to his or her side, which you may not because of anger. The other principle is that the best position to communicate is when you, the best position to communicate is when you know the intention, when you know the intentions and the attitude of the recipients of the message. The intentions and the attitude of the recipient of the message. Because communication principles show us that when you don't know the perspectives or the attitudes of people receiving the messages, you will not be effective at communicating to them. You will always be communicating out of guesswork. It's like trying to shoot at random. The enemy could be here or there. Before you know it, you've used all the what? All the bullets, but you've actually killed nobody. So the other principle is communication messages have the power to form perspectives, create attitudes, and direct people. The other principle is communication messages have the power to form, meaning making, to form perspectives, create attitudes, and direct people. Okay, I have there is a school where the proprietor, the owner, built a flat, had money and plenty of it. It is there in Entebbe. Built a flat and other flats, and Within 3 years, the school had enrollment of 467 learners. Now, the, the proprietor of the school, whom you call the director of the school, at some instant, some days start to disguise people. Will you really afford this school, really? According to how I see, because the school was paying 800 learners, each learner was paying 800,000. If the person came and started negotiating with about 400,000, then will you really afford the school? I think it's better you find a school where you would do what? You would afford. Now, it is at the end of the year. Of course, parents had just got disappointed with the director's conduct. At the end of the year, that we call it graduation for top class. At the graduation ceremony of top class, she comes and tells people, members, I would like to tell you. You see, school is just a very little thing in my life. It's a very small thing. There are several things that I'm doing, even larger than the school. And even them, just to let you know, I'm pursuing a bachelor's in law. Now, when parents heard, she said that the school is just like this, very small like this in her life, and that instead of studying to be a teacher, she's studying, okay, let her continue with her school. When they opened, this next year they opened, they had laid their tables to receive those requirements. And the teachers were in the uniform, only to receive 27 learners. Yes, the community had reacted. It was feedback also to her communication. So now she has sold the school. The buildings are hers, the land is hers. Now she has sold the school to one of the, the, the longest serving schools in Kisubi. I think the school could be called Savio, or there's a school in Kisubi. They have sold the school to that school to take on. When the school took over, the new school took over, they returned the children. Some of them who do not afford the fees of the new school established, they took the children elsewhere. Others actually brought back the children. After knowing that the director sold the school, it was just a little message in a few minutes, spoiling something that has been there for 3 years. So there must be a scan through, because messages create perspectives, create attitudes, and also direct people what to do. The last principle here, you discover other principles of communication. Very many scholars come up with their own, but these are principles which are thoroughly researched and diligently studied. Communication is for what will build people and bring them together. Communication is designed for what will build people and bring them together. That's the principle. So any communication that you come and start to tell people what is not building them, but either devaluing them, you people, your certificates, you just here for me a certificate. Now, which kind of life is that? Hmm? So you're robbing people of their hopes and their courage. If communication is designed to rob people of their courage and their hope, that is not. It is evaluate. Uh, it is devaluing the principle of communication, where the communication is intended to build up people and do what and make give them together. Tell people you are pursuing certificates. That's where we begin. Hmm? That's where we begin. There are several people I know who are successful with the certificate, but there are even those who have been progressing from certificate, diploma, up to PhDs. You see that? So the people now start to say, oh, if with a certificate you can even have a PhD, how possible is that? Other than coming, I know of there is a lecturer who used to teach research methods. He said, you people, don't joke with the research methods. Research method is not something, it is not even easy. Then research method is technical. It's technical. And before you know it, students are like, oh, this is research methods, my God, it has come. It's research members, let's go for research methods. We don't know what we are going to do with it. Because the message has actually caused that tension, which tension is not for them to move forward, but actually to move back. Okay, effective communication. For communication to be effective, we only consider that communication is effective if the deliberations have yielded what we call feedback. Feedback. You be in a class and tell learners, please get out, and everyone remains in his or her seat. Have they received the message? The thing is, yes, they have received the message possibly, but they are not taking action about it. But when the head teacher comes, stand up, get out, everyone is almost running out. Eh? Instead of walking out, they run out. Then you said there has been communication. Yes, the feedback is being received very fast, and then we say that there is effective communication. The other one is communication when you tell them, please stand up, you're needed, and they have known communication has been received. But feedback, there must be elements that show us that there is a feedback. One, elements that indicate that there is a feedback. There, there must be an action. There must be an action taken. So even if is in school and teachers propose, let us have a uniform for teachers. But 5 years, no uniform is bought. Then said, there is no feedback. And even no one is actually talking about, you talked about the uniforms, but we've not yet generated the resources to have the uniform, but it is within our plan. No one. Then there is no action. There is no reaction. Okay, reaction is an attribute of feedback, action, and change. 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 That change could be physical, could be emotional, can also be mental or social. Change. Okay? Change. Then there is also another um, attribute of feedback, which we say generational change in character. Generational change in character. Some of the communication that we make today, the impact can generational change in character. Sorry, some of the communications that we make today may not yield results today, but we can trace them later and see whether there is improvement in character. Characteristics of effective communication. So, in this section, we would like to look at the characteristics of communication that is going to be effective. Now, communication first should have a character called correctness, or the message should be correct. Hmm, correct. Is 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 this how we write the first book of the New Testament? It is double T. Yes. Yeah, yeah. So in it is so it is what? Single T. Single. Open the Bible. You have phones. You go on Google and type the name of the first book of. You type on Google the name of the first book of the New Testament. So we agree. What is it? Double T. So for all the years you've been reading the Bible, so from the time of writing the Bible, all those many years, the thousands, it has always been double T. Yes. That's why recently, when someone read a Bible somewhere and found the word Holy Ghost, which had been there for thousands of years, thought that it had been written recently. Holy Ghost. Because the community perceives that a ghost means the devil. The devil. So Holy Ghost, that one, those Bibles are wrong. So it has got to be correct. You check the spellings of each of the words. That's why when you are writing in communication skills here, we while we are reading, we are also checking the meaning. We check even that those spellings of words, of the words you've written, the flow, and these characteristics to see whether you are a student of communication skills. Clear. The message should have an attribute of clarity. So it means that the message has got to be clear. So the message should not bring doubt. Okay? Doubt. Or what we call mixed meaning. Others call it double meaning. We are going on that date. You know, people have dates, which are dates of the month and also dating. So someone who reads that message is like, "Are you going on that date?" The message just incomplete. Needed to add the date of maybe 20th May, but the guy wants to propose. If this person said maybe let we are going out for the, you see that message, for the date or for a date, then okay, now I get you. There we let us go or let us not to go. Avoid double meanings when it comes to creating clarity, and also eliminate confusion. It is like when someone tells you, I'm having a conference, please you are invited to attend this conference, and the dates are what? So then you say, let me see. That message is not clear. Tell me, let me within 2 days give you my position, whether I will be able to attend or not. There you're clear. It should also be complete. So it means that this message should not be partial. In bits, or it is not giving us the full meaning or the full flow. Even if you have episodes, tell people this is the first episode or the first part. There is a second part, so that someone knows it is not just incomplete. There is something that is additional to it. Okay. So, for example, here I was giving you an example that the meeting is scheduled for 20th December 2025 in Kivekayunga at King Solomon Main Hall at 9 a.m. Okay. So the meeting is scheduled to take place at on 20th December 2025 in Kivekayunga at King Solomon Main Hall at 9 a.m. Is that message complete? Can the person actually come at King Solomon? The, the date is there. The venue is there. The place is there. The time is there. And within King Solomon, if you found someone who doesn't know whether there is a meeting around, you've told at main hall, the person can come and check and let you know, yes, the meeting is there. Sorry, there is no reason. There is no reason. You're right. There is there is no person being who is invited. And who is writing. Okay, thank you. Then the message should be concise. Concise. If you want to inform people that there will be refreshments, it's unnecessary to tell them you're going to eat chicken, matoke, and sodas. So it will be making the message just over detailed unnecessarily. So there should not have unnecessary details. There is necessary detail and unnecessary detail. But simplified or straight to the point and accurate. Straight to the point but accurate. So our communication message, whether it is spoken or it is written or in any way, has got to be courteous. Courteous. The courtesy of the message. That's what we are talking about. Courteous. When we say courteous, that the message should be appealing, attractive, or impressive. Or impressive. There is a voice of adverts called Omulangira House. Possibly you could have heard of Omulangira House, who always advertises those concerts, specialized in concerts in the Uganda version of them. So he makes the message to excite the person and feel like if I don't go, I'm not going to be a person the following day. So there are some billboards you find when they have designed, and then when you look at it down here, they put Stand Big Bank. You see, Stand Big Bank. If the message does not catch the attention of people, then it is not courteous. Another one can say appealing. So it is about appearance. The appearance. You could have bought that shirt because it was appealing to you. It was courteous. It's designed. Otherwise, you wouldn't have bought it even if it was strong. Okay? You married that wife because possibly it could have looked good to you. Or that husband of yours. Then we have you have to be very conscious that this is with the word being concise. Yeah, it's concise. This is concise, being concise. What is to be concise? Yes, being concise. Yeah, that one is, we've seen it, that you eliminate unnecessary what? Unnecessary details. If you say Stanbic Bank, it is Stanbic Bank. Get maybe a quick loan or a quick salary loan. Stanbic Bank. You don't need to get a, a salary loan after before, because if you're struggling with getting salary, you're not getting it on time. Come to Stanbic Bank and get a quick loan and get a salary loan. All those words for what? Quick salary loan, Stanbic Bank. If you want detail, go to Stanbic Bank. Otherwise, people have to stop along the way and read the billboard. Afterwards, they continue. You're wasting people's time. The other is what we call considerateness. In the principle of considerateness, or that characteristic of the message, put into consideration the situation. That's one. The abilities and interests of people. The abilities and interests of people. That person is putting the word quick salary loan. Why? Because people want things to be quick. That's their interest. The situation, the abilities, and the what? And the interest of the person receiving the message has got to be considered. If, for example, you called a meeting to happen at 7 a.m., and the people you're calling for that meeting have to travel from Kampala or from Luwero to attend the meeting, then that communication is not considerate. People read it and say, does he expect us to come at 7 a.m.? Let him be in the meeting. Then the other one is consistent. Consistent. It means that your current message should be related to the previous one. Should be related to the previous one. In the case of changes, capture the change in your what? In your message. You see, you had invited people to come today, but then maybe you've realized they shouldn't come. Then you give them another message to come tomorrow, without telling them that the one for today has been cancelled. So they come today thinking that they will also come tomorrow. But on arrival, you tell them, no, I meant you should come tomorrow, not today. So that message has got to tell them that the meeting for today has been postponed to tomorrow, and the date and whatever is stated. Then they will know that, yeah, that is capturing the previous communication that you had. We had earlier on said you were going to submit your coursework on the e-learning. However, due to the challenges, the coursework will not be submitted on e-learning, but will be submitted by email. That is considering, you see that? We are going to have some 15 to 20 minutes to conclude this lecture. Now, we are having a component called public communication. Yes, you'll be having communication in a classroom, in a school, but also outside the school and the general public. So this communication is happening in familiar audiences and unfamiliar audiences. You don't know anybody among those you are communicating to. You even may not be knowing their names. And then it could be so, it can be a new audience. Now, in a communication which is public, there are some considerations to put in mind, in our minds. One, these are considerations for public communication. For anybody doing public communication, one is that communication, to have public communication, the communicator should identify the needs of the people he or she is communicating to. Yes, you must bear in mind the needs of the people you're communicating to. So that you communicate to them appropriately. You've had where some audiences where someone comes and communicates and people leave saying, I thought he was going to talk about this. That's why in some public conferences, some communicators and those who are planning conferences ask people, what are your expectations of this conference? I expect them to talk about this, talk about that. Then that informs the public communicator on some of the key needs of the people. Not necessarily that those are the things they need to hear, they should hear, but you use them as raw materials to deliver an appropriate message to them. Then the challenges and perspectives of people. That is another consideration. Consider the challenges and the perspectives of people. If it is you're communicating with the people of Mbale in Uganda here who believe that circumcision is what makes a man, and you're telling them how they should not circumcise, possibly you should be on the radio. Otherwise, if you are in if you are in physical terms, but then if you communicate to them without having understood their perspectives, you just communicate. Before you know it, the bottles, the stones. You've seen people on stage who go and dance and they throw some bottles. Uh, so, inform people about your knowledge about those challenges in your primary stages of what? Of communication. So, I maybe let me dress myself in the gown of the vice chancellor. Good morning, students of Nkumba University. I'm the Vice Chancellor of Nkumba University, and I appreciate your choice of Nkumba University, and I would like to inform you that I'm aware that you travel long distances to come and study at Nkumba University, and that some of you have issues with salary payment in your institution. So the university has set installments. You see that? Other than say the university has set installments, but when you tell us our challenge and the solution you're coming with it, we can easily listen to the solution because it is addressing the challenge. So sequentially, draw the message that helps people to solve that challenge. I've done that. Look at them, meaning you look at those people. Some people communicate while looking at the roof, looking at the ground. Some, when we were young, we were told, look at people's hair. Not so. That doesn't work in public communication. Speak politely but authoritatively. Politely but with a position. You know, there are those who speak, okay, next week you will not come. Next week we are going to have a program. I'm sorry. Forgive me. You are narrowing down the what? The authority of the message. I don't know what you're going to say, but next week you're not going to come. Sorry, please. I don't know those who will afford. I don't know what you will do. So communicate without those verbal cues. I think so you know you get it, you understand. So you mean we don't understand? If you want to know that so tell people, when the more you spend doing people are saying he's guessing what to tell us. I think maybe according to me now it would have been according to who? so so those words can bring doubt in the audience. Practice your speech before you start. Those are considerations. You can try to practice the speech you're going to give people. Seek for clarity from organizers to be informed. Then, in case of applauses, people are cheering. Yeah, 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 they clap. Do not get lost in the applauses, but you can pause a little for the applause, or now you've seen Trump. So in case of applauses, people are cheering you. Yeah, give them a little space to cheer. Don't stop them immediately. Please. Give them some space to cheer. But shouldn't be prolonged. Then say, now, attention. So moving around the stage is good, but if it is overdone, it is unnecessary. You've seen people who present now. Oh, using gestures is good, and when it is overdone, it is also unnecessary. Yeah, using gestures to emphasize a matter, get your body. There are those who speak as if the hands can't move, fixed hands and the body be free. Coughing is okay, but use a handkerchief, or you should not cough on the microphone. If the cough has come, put the microphone and then, but the microphone should, the position of the microphone from the mouth should be maintained in such a position that captures your voices clearly. You have seen those people put the microphone as though they are going to eat it. And as they speak, they are like blowing in the air in the microphone. Maintain the microphone at a distance, not very close to the mouth and not very far away. Some people do the emphasis with the microphone and start the gestures with the microphone. Now you see. So to laugh during presentation, public communication is okay, but should be due. Should be timed. You can overlaugh and people say, really? I thought you would have stopped by now. That laughter which is prolonged is, and also they are unnecessary laughter. Okay, the audience doesn't wish that would be a matter of laughing, but the but the public speaker is busy laughing. Jokes are good, but when they are overdone, they become monotonous, and they can even narrow down the quality of the message. People can start to think the message has been just jokey. In our conclusion, you're going to do some findings of the forms of communication, You'll see what are those forms. You know those forms. Some of you are teaching the English language. So you have the verbal and non-verbal. You could have written and the unwritten. The communication can be in text, video, and or audio. So in all those ways, communication has got to be clear, to have all those characteristics. Can be in physical or in digital form. So in real life applications, you'll be able to apply communication. For example, if it is written, Could be in letter writing, in transactions, like your school wants to make orders, to write invoices. Even those are communication, though they are business tools as well. And then when it comes to writing adverts, you should be able to write those adverts. Okay, you should also be able to make sure that when it comes to job descriptions, you can basically come up with a job description, then be able to write CVs. That is in written, because in our assessment, we would give you a space to come and present to us something, to assess whether you can do public communication. But during examination, it becomes hard. That's why we base more on writing until the time comes when we shall be able to assess students that other way. So you should be able to develop CVs, reports, minutes. Those are expected of you. Now, in what you should do as an activity which you present as your coursework, write your CV. That is, write your CV. What does CV stand for? What of VITE? What does VITE mean? Okay, for today, let us be helped. Search the meaning of the word VITE, so that in communication, we don't communicate things because we found them, people saying them. It is called what? Yes. The spelling of the word VITE. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. What does it mean? Life. Uh-huh. So VITE means life. Is it a Latin word? Yeah. It's a Latin word which means life. So it's curriculum life. Tell us your life. There is a term. Yes. Uh-huh. I taught curriculum yesterday. Okay. That is one. The other, that is 1A. Then B, write an application letter for being the director of studies of your school. The director of studies of your school. You address it to the askari. Don't know. No, I'm just. If you address it to the askari, we shall know. Write the other C. Write the wiki's detailed report. Write the wiki's detailed report. Yes, that week. Uh-huh. So you specify that week. The wiki's detailed report for the teacher on duty. For the teacher on duty. So you find out how a report is written and which is standardized. Thank you for attending this lecture. I'm going to send you the